Now, US President Donald Trump has announced steep new import duties of 100% on pharmaceuticals, sparking concern and criticism around the world. A European Pharmaceutical Federation said the tariffs would, quote, create the worst of all worlds, unquote, and prevent patients from getting life-saving treatment. Australia's health minister said the new rates were unfair and unjustified after 20 years of tariff-free trade with the US. And Asian stock markets retreated, with pharmaceutical companies hit hard by Trump's announcement. For more on this, I'm joined by Clifford Coonan from DW Business. Clifford, welcome. What impact will these new tariffs have?
Well, I think assessing the impact of these, it's a bit like all the other tariffs. And we're quite familiar with this playbook by now. An announcement on social media, and everyone panics, and there's a shocked reaction, and it looks like, there's massive numbers, 100% on pharmaceuticals, which is a crucial sector. But when you actually look a bit closer, the impact is probably less, given that there's some key exemptions here. There's exemptions for generic drugs, so for non-branded drugs, and also for firms that are constructing manufacturing facilities in the US, which includes a lot of the big companies like Merck, AstraZeneca, and Eli Lilly, who are building in the US right now. So they are indeed a bit of a shock, but particularly as Trump said earlier that he would introduce tariffs quite slowly in the pharmaceutical sector. We don't know why he made the decision that he did now, or at the particular point, but again, that's part of the tariff playbook. Clearly, they don't reflect modern supply chains and things like that, but the impact looks like it's not going to be as bad as we thought initially, but it's still a very serious tariffs.
So let's delve into this impact. What countries are we particularly looking at? Which countries are susceptible?
Well, if you look at some countries, Ireland is one of the biggest exporters, for example, and its pharma exports are around 12% of its total economy. Its pharma exports to the US alone is around 12%. Slovenia, another country there that is also heavily affected. These would probably be protected because in the EU deal with the US, pharmaceutical tariffs are capped at 15%. So it won't be, and as of now, we don't know if for sure that it won't be 100%, but as of now, that deal still stands, so it won't affect the EU countries. However, it will affect the UK, Switzerland, Singapore, Japan, which are not part of the EU. And then there's the big markets of India and China. These are massive. China, in particular, produces a lot of the ingredients that then go into Indian drugs. India, again, largely generics. But reading through the Indian media, people are worried that generics could be next. So they've created this sort of fear and uncertainty. And as we know, India has been particularly hard hit by the tariffs from the US. And with China, the US is so dependent on China for its drugs, for its pharmaceuticals. Amoxicillin, which is an antibiotic, pretty much all of the production the supply comes from China. There's only one manufacturing plant making it there. So this is a serious issue.
Can you speak as to the timing of these tariffs? Why introduce them now?
I think, and I've long thought this, I think everything with the end game with this is always a deal with China. I think this is what's at the back of Trump's mind. He sees that as the crowning glory of his trade war. And so he wants to keep pressure on tariffs on China. He wants to show that he's got his eye on the ball and that he's going to keep the pressure on China ahead of a meeting probably next month with Xi Jinping, the Chinese leader, in Seoul at the APEC summit. Mm-hmm. So I think that's at the back of his mind is this policy. And I think that's where we're going. He wants to keep the pressure, and he wants to, and then ultimately come up with the mega deal with China, which is going to be his crowning glory.
We'll leave it there for the moment. Clifford Coonan from DW Business. Thanks so much for coming in.